Hi there, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of our Thank You video series. I am your host, Veronica Burchill, and today I am thrilled to welcome our guest, Chris Davis Sr. So welcome.
Thanks, Veronica.
It's great to have you on today. How have you been doing?
I've actually been doing great. Things are starting to get back to normal on the team side, obviously still with the precautions. Lesson programs starting to come back, so we're getting closer back to normal. Not normal yet, but a lot closer than we were a year ago.
That's great news. So you're the head coach of Swim Atlanta in Atlanta. Could you kind of talk us through a little bit about your swimming background on a personal level and how you got to where you are today?
I got to where I am today with a lot of hard work and not realizing, I guess, what I was getting into. Swam in Atlanta, swam on a small school scholarship at a place called Birmingham Southern. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, so stayed there for 3 years and then quit, came back to Atlanta, worked for a couple of years. And the underlying thing that I always did, no matter what, I had a job because I was in construction, property management, real estate license, but I was always coaching on the side. That was always my second job. Got a chance to go down and coach with Eddie Reese for a couple of years at Auburn when he was getting that program started. So I coached there for 2 years. And then a guy that I went to high school with at Georgia LSC high school, he and I all the way through high school had said, wouldn't it be great if we one day started our own program in Atlanta? And I'm sorry, wait 1 second here. Somebody trying to call me.
You're fine, no worries.
Can you still see me?
I can't, but I can still hear you.
Okay, good. So we had always said that, and actually Jim Fraser, my business partner, that we did this together. He was down at Auburn at the same time. He ended up taking a job in the Virgin Islands. I took a job in Anniston, Alabama. Wasn't really happy with that. And then I came back to Atlanta and got back into the property management, real estate construction, that sort of stuff. Gave him a call in the Virgin Islands and said, "Do you remember when we talked in high school about starting our own program?" And he went, "Yeah." I said, "Do you have any interest?" And he said, "Actually, I'm about to go through a divorce, and yeah, I'd have a lot of interest. Why don't you fly down to the Virgin Islands," which was St. Croix, "and we'll talk about it." Of course, that wasn't much of an arm twist to get me to go to the Virgin Islands for a week. So I went down there for a week. We talked about it. That was in April, and we started the program in August. So we just came back to Atlanta, found a pool, which was an outdoor pool because we couldn't get an indoor pool built. Coldest winter in history. Started off with 25 kids. Both had to have other jobs because we were losing money. And finally, we were able, through an SBA loan, to build our first location in 1978. Now we have 7 and about 2,000 kids that train year-round competitively. So it's really exceeded our expectations. We never, ever thought we would be where we are. So in 1983, Jim had an especially, but at that point in time, we had 2 locations, one in Roswell, one in Decatur. Jim had an especially slow senior nationals. Kids just didn't do well. We had been trying for 3 years to get somebody to take a chance with us to start a pool management business. Couldn't find anybody that was willing to take a chance. We were flying back to junior nationals in Indianapolis, and Jim said, "What do you think about me starting it? I'm tired of caring more than the kids care." I said, "Sure." So we got there, we put an advertisement up, found a coach. Jim and I lived on my salary for that year, which was not much money. As a matter of fact, my kids qualified for free lunches. I made such little money that year. And then we started the pool management business. We're in 18 different cities now. We have somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 lifeguards. And so, we both stay very, very busy.
Yeah, sounds like it. That's incredible though. And I personally just learned a lot about you, and that's incredible. So obviously you talked about how, you have your, you said real estate license and all that other stuff, and you were always doing swimming on the side. Uh, I guess, my next question was actually going to be, what made you want to be a swim coach, and if that was a planned job and all that sort of stuff, if you didn't go into it. So I guess what I'll say instead, or I'll ask instead is, what is your favorite aspect of coaching, and why does it, you know, keep you coaching?
You know, I'm very lucky in that I get to wear two hats. I get to wear a business hat for most of the day. Then I take that hat off and I put on a coaching hat. And I've learned through the years that the kids really don't care what my day was like. It didn't matter if I had to fire 3 people that day. It didn't matter if I had 18 parents that are on me that day. It didn't matter if I had 3 motors go down, 2 heaters go down, the water's green at one of my facilities. That really didn't matter to them. When I put on the coaching hat, um, you got to turn the switch and you got to be a coach, and you got to put the energy into them just like you should, whether you just walked on the deck from a day where you were just laying out in the sun. So I've said I'm lucky because I had the chance to be successful in 2 areas of my life, which I don't think most coaches get to do. The business side of it, which building a program from 25 kids to 2,007 locations, 20 to 25,000 sets of lessons a year. So, I feel pretty accomplished with that part of it.
Mhm.
But I tell everybody that my favorite time of the day is on the deck with the kids. It really doesn't matter how tired I am. They just always come in with, now it's not always that way, as you know, because you were one of those kids, but they always come in with an enthusiasm, with an energy, with an excitement, and then it's my job to try to channel that into a good workout. I know whenever I'm at a party with a bunch of adults, I'm always over in the corner with the kids, even at my ripe old age, than I am with the adults. I always find like I have a lot more in common with the kids than adults.
Mhm.
Not really
That's
interested in listening to somebody's golf game. It's fun to watch the kids do the same things you did as a kid as you were growing up and think they invented it.
Yeah, their imagination is a lot greater, and interest
Oh,
in life is a lot
they
greater. A
just
lot.
they can make stuff fun out of anything. And,
Definitely.
and, and unfortunately, I think adults lose that as they get older.
Yeah. So kind of going back just a little bit, when you were first talking about how, um, talking about like, Eddie Reese and all that, all you were, when you were starting off your coaching. So how, what are the lessons that you've learned from different coaches that you've, had the ability to talk to, be mentored by, and kind of maybe go into a little bit about, who else those coaches were?
Um, I've been coaching like summer league since I was 16. So
Mhm.
you go all the way through the summer league. I've done the swim lesson program. So, I've got a pretty big background in that. Um, I think I've always had the ability to have a really good relationship with the kids. Um, I'm a real smart aleck. And so I try to preface every workout by making it fun. And part of that fun for me is bantering back and forth with the kids. So I rag on them, I mean, just nonstop. And they give it back, which is awesome. It's a lot of fun. I
Mhm.
think again, I think I have a pretty good rapport. I think the kids trust me. I think I try to guide them without using a big stick to guide them, not just through swimming, but through whatever their life journeys are.
Mhm.
Um, when I have kids come to me and they're fighting with their parents and they hate them and they can't wait to leave and get off to college. And, I always tell them that there's two people in this world that would take a bullet for you. That's your mom and dad, without question. I know stuff's hard right now, but you always need to keep that in mind. And I always tell them, I would not take the bullet for you. I would for my children, but I wouldn't for you. So those people are very, very special. So you need to realize that and appreciate that, celebrate that, and be, have a little patience and a little grace in your heart for your parents when you lose patience with them. And I get it. I mean, it's because I'm a parent, so I get it. I'm sure my children were the same way. In terms of Eddie is so unique. Obviously, he's been one of the, if not the greatest coach, one of the greatest coaches of all time. And I think the things that I tell Eddie that I noticed when I coached with him and in the relationship that I've had with him for 40 plus years, he has the ability that if he came to you right now, Veronica, and he said, Veronica, I saw you swim the other day. You can absolutely make the Olympic team. You would give up whatever you're doing now and you would get back in the water and you would try to make the Olympic team. But I think the gift is the conviction that when he says that to you, he's not just blowing smoke up your skirt. He 100% believes that you have that within you. That's one gift that I think he really has among many. Second is, I think he has the innate ability to have a grasp on everybody that's in practice. So he knows when he can just push like crazy. And then he also knows, like, okay, they've had enough. We're going to do a play day. And I think those have been, and I think I recognizing that when I coached with him, I think I try to initiate some of that same. I think Eddie and I are somewhat alike, because I don't know if you know Eddie or not, but he's a smart aleck, just like I am. And so I think we have some of the same traits. Obviously, I'm not anywhere near his league in terms of coaching, but I learned. I think I learned those things from him. I learn all the time from talking to people like Jack. Okay, what do you think? What's the set you did? Why did you do this set? What did you get from this set? John Morris, Greg Troy. The list goes on with people that I respect. And the coaching is a fraternity. If you get with a lot of coaches that you like and respect, I can call them up. I can talk to them about this parent that I've got that's driving me insane, or a kid that I just can't figure out how I can get them over the top. And so we'll discuss that stuff. And a lot of times I'll get an idea and I'll go, I cannot believe I didn't think of that, and a lot of times it'll work.
Yeah, I think that's great. So kind of flipping the switch a little bit, what do you learn from your athletes? Or what have there been big moments over the years that have been really transformational in your coaching from athletes?
Oh, funny. I think it's my job to try to help them realize their potential, whatever that is. And I 100% believe none of us reach our potential. I don't think you reached your potential. I haven't reached my potential as a coach. We all have more to give. We all can get better, or the sport wouldn't be getting faster. I think if you can dream it, you can do it. There was one time in life that somebody dreamt about a rocket ship. Well, next thing we knew, we had rocket ships. Somebody else dreamt that we were going to go to the moon. Next thing you know, man moved towards that picture and we're on the moon. Dick Tracy had a watch that he talked on. Everybody, yeah, right, that'll never happen. Next thing you know, we're talking on our watch. So I think it's up to me to help the athlete paint the picture of what they want, and then to try to help them get to that picture. And they don't always know. I don't think a lot of the kids ever know what potential they have. So it's up to me to try to recognize that, and then I guess browbeat them into getting there. And then obviously setting up the program that'll help them get to that potential. Stuff that I've learned from them. Here's one of the biggies, and I think you'd agree on this. I think all the great athletes know themselves so well, they'll never allow me as a coach to take them beyond where they ought to be taken in terms of getting them too tired, or whatever it is that as a coach, we try to just get that last drop, because that last drop is going to make the difference of whether you make the Olympic team or senior nationals or junior nationals or score there or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I've really tried to listen to the guys that I know that are in tune with themselves enough to know. You know, there's times I'll see kids just screwing around on a drill, and I'll go, "Oh my God, that's the greatest drill I've ever seen." And all they were doing was playing around. I've gotten an awful lot of my drills from just watching kids screwing around with stuff and going, "Oh yeah, that works. That's great."
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. I know almost every single person that I've been interviewing has kind of talked about how there's just so much to learn from the athletes, and you can never take for granted, you know, just observing what they do and how they do things, because their mind works differently than older coaches. So I think that's great. So obviously you've been coaching for a very long time, and do you have, I think it would, I know a lot of people don't really, some people have specific memories, but they don't want to leave people out or anything like that whenever I've talked to them. But do you have any memories or just favorite moments that really make it all worth it for you?
You know, when I talk to a lot of coaches, especially as you get on up in years, we all say, you know, I could coach till 100 if I just never had to go to a swim meet. So I think for me, practices are so fun with the kids and making it fun for them. But that's not to say that if you just went your lifetime best set ever, that's not fun. That's a ton of fun. I think for me, I get just as much of a kick out of helping a kid make top 8 at state high school level when they never thought they could do that as when Amanda Weir set the American record. I mean, both are incredible. Both are fun. But it was awesome when I had Hans Dersch make the Olympic team in '92. I mean, those things are incredible. But to help a kid learn to believe in themselves and to realize that I do have more to give, that I can bust my chops, that there's a whole lot more out there for me. And then for them to adopt that philosophy and then reach that goal, whatever that goal is. Not every kid's going to be an American record holder. Not every kid's going to make junior and senior nationals. That's probably what keeps me going.
That's great.
That, and like an idiot, I told Eddie Reese probably 30, 40 years ago when he and I were bantering back and forth, I went, Eddie, because he and I were kind of competitive, Eddie, I'll coach one more day than you coach. How in the hell did I know he was going to coach till he's 80? So I'm in deep trouble. Yeah. I'm in trouble.
So, so what would you say is your general coaching philosophy? You know, and has it evolved over the years?
I think it's still hard work. I don't know how you get away with it if you're not working hard and you're not buying into whatever the program is. And that doesn't mean if it's a sprint program, those guys work hard, they just work different. I'm probably an old school meat and potatoes kind of guy. I was talking to Eric Chanteau the other day, and when we first started Swim Atlanta, we were, hey, we want it now. We don't want to wait. So for our senior level kids, which were about 15 of them, we ran 14 workouts a week. You had to make 12 to stay in the group. So we were going 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. every morning. And then we would go from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. every night. And I mean, we just killed those kids because we wanted it immediately. And more at that point in time was always better. And we have found out that because 2 aspirins cures a headache, 100 is not going to cure cancer. So I've probably evolved past that, realizing when the kids are that tired, I need to back off and be a lot smarter on it. But I'm still, I was talking to Eric Chanteau, and I don't know if you know who he was. Obviously, he was an Olympian, and he started in the lesson program with us when he was 3 years old. So he went all the way through the Swim Atlanta program. When I got to that level, I realized I thought that the morning workouts were, that all it did was make them tired. I wasn't 100% sure that it made them better. So I gave up morning workouts. But in the distance lane, because he reminded me of this, he goes, you know, people said you never did mornings. I went, no, it was great. He said, but we went 10,000 in 2 hours every day in the afternoon. So it wasn't like he didn't work. So that's possible to do that. You know, I've probably backed off of that a little bit with the distance kids, but we're still at the 9,000 a workout, which means you're not sitting around and doing a lot of talking. Now, again, I wouldn't do that with an IMer. I wouldn't do that with a sprinter. But the distance guys, I don't know there's an easy way.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I mean, I know when I was growing up, I mean, I swam for Carmel Swim Club in Indiana, and even as a sprint mid-distance person, I did a decent amount of yards. And I think just from, you know, hearing about who you are without, you know, meeting you in person, or before I met you in person, I should say, I heard nothing but, you know, really good things, but the fact that you do train your kids really hard, and that's, you know, I think it definitely just develops like such strong character and determination, and
I think it sets them up for the rest of their life.
yeah,
There isn't
exactly.
anything that an employer can ask them to do or ask you to do that you're going to think is hard.
Yeah,
I got to
completely.
get at 7 a.m., but I don't have to get in the water. No, just come in at 7 a.m. and you're going to be at your computer. Well, that's not hard. That's pretty easy. You know what I mean? So I think swimmers make great employees.
Completely. Do you have any swimmers that have gone on to do what, you know, is there anyone that stands out that you're like, they've done incredible things post, you know, swimming in general? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've all done great things in their lives.
I'm sure,
Most
yes.
of the kids really have. Brett Mitchell, do you know him?
I don't.
He's in Dallas. So he took the Swim Atlanta program, the model, took it to Dallas, and he's got 1,500 kids. A guy named Peter Pereira's, who coached with us for 12 years, had me help him take the Swim Atlanta model, and which is coach-owned, professionally run, no parent group. I hope there's no parents going to be watching this, but that's the best. So he's got 1,200 kids now in Charlotte. So then Nitro
Yes.
obviously is in Austin. Well, Mike Culliver worked for me for years, took our model to Nitro. So, I mean, it's pretty flattering that these guys recognize the model. I certainly was more than willing to share with them. And then they were able to take it. Now it's hard work. So it's not like they just said, okay, the model's here, I'm successful. That doesn't work. It's as hard for us as it is for anybody if you're going to be successful. You know, whenever I do clinics or I talk to people, I tell them I'm willing to share everything from Swim Atlanta. The only thing I'm not willing to share is how much money I make. But other than that, I'll tell them anything that we do, I won't charge them. I'll help them through the process. 99% of them are not willing to do what it takes to get to that level. Obviously, these 3 guys were. So I tell the kids all the time, and I tell them, the 3 kinds of people in this world: ones that try, We all try. Ones that say, no, 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 I'm doing my very best. Well, okay. I don't want that guy either. I want the guy that's willing to do whatever it takes. Because I think we all operate on, is it worth it for me to do what I have to do to get what I want to get? For some things it is. Okay, Veronica, if you get straight A's your junior and senior year, we're going to buy you a car. Holy crud, I'm in. So then you study enough because you want that car enough. If that car doesn't mean that much to you, you're not going to kill yourself to get it. So, and for the kids, usually it's their goals, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First of all, that's incredible that all, three of those guys have taken the Swim Atlanta model and moved it other places. And I think it's incredible that you've been more than happy and willing to share all that stuff and information about, how you've continued to be successful over the years and build the program. I mean, you can never undervalue the do whatever it takes mentality at all. So I guess moving forward, like in the next couple months, trials are coming up. You getting excited?
Yeah. Now, in 2020, I'd have had people like Jake and Bradley and all those guys because they wouldn't have gone off to college. Now they're in phenomenally capable hands with Jack and Jack's staff at Georgia. So the kids that I have going probably are not going to be players. But they're pumped that they're going to Olympic trials, and especially since they got bumped last year. Yeah, absolutely. It's the pinnacle, obviously, when you get kids to that level. I don't know if you know all the stuff, all the hoops you got to jump through this go around. So that's going to take a little bit of the fun out of it. But it's always fun, I think, to be there, to be in the pressure cooker, to see how kids react to that kind of pressure. To get to see a lot of coaches that you have a lot of respect for that you don't get to see all the time except at big meets. So all that stuff's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite time of the year in terms of, when certain meets are going on or just training blocks throughout like a typical year, not necessarily an Olympic year, but in a typical year?
When we're working the hardest. When I finish a workout and the kids don't say a word, they are so whipped that they don't even talk. I go, I got them. And that's when I'm the happiest, and that's when they're the most miserable. During taper, they're so obnoxious, and I keep reminding them, guys, I will get even. So you guys keep acting like this. And of course, you can't kill them because you don't want to ruin their knee. So keep acting like this. I'm going to remember. And sure enough, I do. Oh gosh, there goes the.
I can still hear you. It's okay.
Okay, so I always get the last laugh.
So
that is my favorite time, training them, and where we're training at our hardest. That for me is more fun than, well, it's not more fun than when a kid has a lifetime best swim. That's way fun too.
Yeah.
But the mental and emotional roller coaster of a swim meet sometimes can wear on you. I think the nice thing about coaching, well, or maybe the best thing about coaching for us, is that you can go from champ to champ to champ, from heat to heat. So I can have a heat where I just had 3 kids rip it up. Okay, I'm it. I'm the man. I should be coach of the year. I'm the greatest guy that God ever gave to the coaching world. And then the next heat, everybody went slow. And now I'm a chum because they're all coming back like, you're an idiot. You messed up my taper. You messed me up, because they don't take any accountability. It's all on me. So I think those things are probably really good for coaches, to go from the champ heat to the chump heat. I've learned more, which thank goodness hasn't happened that often, when we've been awful. When we've been awful at a meet, I think I've been a much better coach that next year.
There's something about learning from your I say mistakes, but and failures as they're bad things, but they're not. Like they're always an opportunity to grow and learn more and get better.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think if you don't take advantage of them, then you're doing more harm than good.
Yeah, and you don't do the blame game. It's not about
Yeah.
doing the blame game. At that point in time, it's about figuring out what you needed to do differently. What are the variables that maybe you did outside of the water that I wasn't privy to that maybe affected performance? So you got to be honest about it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a two-way street. So yeah.
100%. And that's the other part as a coach is I can't control all the variables that are outside of the water. So you're fighting with your boyfriend, your mom and dad are on your fanny, your mom and dad are about to get a divorce. Your best friend's going through this, your grades are awful. Well, I mean, whatever it is, you got to try to learn to park all that stuff at the door, do your workout, and then pick it back up on the way out and deal with it. But that's pretty hard for a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm. Do you have, I guess I know you talked about the hard work segment of the year and how, that's one of the best parts for you. So do you have like a favorite set that you like to, or maybe not necessarily a favorite set, but a favorite type of structured workout that really gets you excited to coach it and stuff like that?
I think one of the other things I learned from Eddie when you asked about it before is that, I don't think Eddie's ever done the same workout twice.
Yeah.
He's very innovative in what he does. And so I try to spend a lot of time and never, obviously, 10 200s or 10 200s. It's hard to put lipstick on that set, but you can doctor it up some, negative split descend, different intervals, whatever to try to make it better. So, I've got with the kids recently, I'll go, like Wednesdays for us are wee Wednesdays. Because they know that the workout's going to be so hard, they're probably going to wee in their suit. That might be a safe sport violation. I don't know, but they'll come up to me and they'll go, "Oh my God, Chris, we're not doing wee Wednesday, are we?" Or Mala Monday, or just different things to again make it kind of fun for them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're terrified when they know that it's going to be that kind of Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. I got you. So I know before we actually started recording, we talked about Maria. And so for those of you watching, I was training in Tennessee with a former swimmer of Chris's, Maria, and I don't even know how to say
it was
her last name.
Alvarez. I'm not sure of her new name. Married.
Yeah. Anyway, so I remember she was kind of telling me, about her story, coming from TCU to then going to Swim Atlanta to continue to train for Columbia. Could you kind of talk us through, coaching those older swimmers and how that's different from, the age group swimmers and your experience?
So yeah, Maria came, and I don't remember how she ended up getting here, obviously from Columbia. Great girl, saw her swim, said, "Maria, you've got some potential. I really want to make the Colombian Olympic team. And okay, what are our goals? What do we need to do?" And one of them was 409 was her goal for the 400. I think that either made the B cut for her country or a FINA cut, whatever.
Yeah.
So when I watched her train, I went, "Whoa, we've got to get where you can go fast without much rest, and then you got to go fast some more." For the distance guys, I think that's kind of what they have to do. Mm-hmm. And so for her, what I would do to try to keep her focused in on her goal is, because it was 409, I went and got a 409 cleaner, the bottle 409, and I stuck that at the end of her lane every day, just so she could see that and know that that's what she was. So I do stupid stuff like that. But it resonated with her. She did really, really well. And, I've coached masters, I've coached post grads. I really don't try to treat them a whole lot different. I I,
Mhm.
I I don't know as you get older that you can do less, or I can work less
Mhm.
and be successful. I mean, for me, the rationale says, well, I got to work harder. I'm not 18 anymore. I'm 25. You know what I mean? I
Yes,
don't,
completely.
now maybe we need to work smarter, but I
Mhm.
don't know that the intensity has to go away, because I think if you do that, you're not going to go as fast. I think Michael Phelps said that back when he went through that lull, when he didn't do as well. And then he realized, oh my gosh, I got to get back to my roots. I got to get back to what got me to where I am.
Yeah.
And he did. And of course, he had a great Olympics. And I think the same thing for post grads or the older level kids.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever easy, as you know. If it was easy, we'd be turning kids away right and left.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
think
easy. It's the toughest sport there is out there, I think.
I would have to agree. um, no, I think that's a great outlook, and um, not something that not something that is always talked about. I feel like, because I think sometimes as we get older, I did the same thing when I was still training. I think that, I wanted to do less a little bit, just because it was a little bit nicer sometimes. And that's the reality. The reality is, that's not always what works. And I had to go and I had to personally dig deep in my own mind and say, this is not what I need.
Right.
And so, yeah, I get that completely.
I think as human beings, we're like water. We always try to take the path of least resistance. Whatever is the easiest. If I tell you, sure, Veronica, you absolutely, we can go 3,500, 4,000 a day and you can reach your goals. Well, in your subconscious mind, you might say, well, he's full of it, but you want so desperately to grasp that and go, yes. But I mean, it just doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. Well, let's put it that I've never had it work that way.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
that
And that's,
doesn't mean that maybe we can do a little less in the water and you can get a little stronger dry land and do it that way, or some other things that maybe we can do. But it's still the common denominator for fast swimming is hard work, period.
mhm. Yeah, agreed. I agree completely. um, so as we're kind of starting to wrap up, would you kind of go into however much or little as you want? Would you like to talk a little bit about your passions outside of the sport of swimming?
Well, obviously the business side of it. I'm a 12 hours a day, 7 days a week kind of guy.
Mhm.
Probably one of the passions is I've got a posse. Jack's one of them. And then we go surfing every year.
I've heard
And
about that.
yeah, and usually we go down to Costa Rica. And I mean, I guess if I have a passion, that would be it. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of hobbies. I guess the kids are the hobby. I mean, I'm not a big golfer. I don't go play tennis. Um, I work and coach, and probably the greatest thing in my life right now are my grandkids.
That's
They're the
great.
best. And I
Mhm.
tell everyone that I like them so much more than I liked my children. They are so much better, and I don't know why that is, but they are.
How
And
many grandkids?
how many grandkids?
Yeah,
5.
5.
Yep. Which is pretty awesome. And I have all my children work with me. So I'm very, very lucky in that. And I coached my kids. So very lucky in all that. But it's not even close. The grandkids are so much better. Now, maybe it's because I can give them back. You know what I mean? I know
Mhm.
ultimately I don't have all the responsibility for them. And
Mhm.
so I can play and do whatever I want, spoil the heck out of them, and then give them back, and it's up to their parents to straighten them out.
How how was coaching your kids?
I talked about the hats earlier, the
Yes.
business hat, the coaching hat. Well, so with them, and you would have to ask them if I succeeded, but I tried really hard to put the coaching hat on, treat them like I did the other kids. And then as soon as that hat was off and we were driving home, I took that hat off and it was the dad hat. So I never talked swimming with them on the way home or at home, unless they wanted to talk about it. Then I
Yeah.
would. It was awesome. So as a dad, I got to spend an extra 3 hours with my kids every day that most dads never get to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very, very lucky in that aspect also. So I count my blessings on all those.
Definitely.
But I'm sure they got sick of me seeing me as daddy and coach.
I was just gonna say my dad's actually also a swim coach, but he didn't coach me, so I was wondering about that dynamic. Because
Right.
he did the same thing, but a little bit different. Because he didn't coach me, but sometimes he wouldn't offer advice unless we asked. And anyway, yeah. So I was just curious.
Yeah. And then I'm sure he probably said, well, what did your coach say about that? Kind of like when I'm in an international trip, if a kid asks me something, I'll go, so what does your coach typically say when you ask that question? Okay, well, here's what I think he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
That would be typically how I would answer that.
Gotcha. That's great. So yeah, as we wrap up things, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on the on the video series today. Sorry, words are difficult sometimes.
Absolutely my pleasure. I hope I didn't bore you.
Do you have any as I said previously, we're doing this series to really thank our Georgia Swimming LSC coaches, officials, for all the hard work and dedication that they've been able to do more of in the past year. And everything's been crazy, so we're really grateful for not only you, but everyone that's been putting in tons of more hours and due to restrictions, all that fun stuff. But
Right.
yeah, is there any last parting words that you'd like to add?
Sure. Obviously, one, thank you very much. It was great to get to know you. And when we get off the Zoom at some point in time, I'll tell you some Jack Bowerly stories that you can hold over his head. I got a couple
Great.
that are awesome.
Oh, good. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, you need to do that, right? Couple that'll embarrass him, but you're going to go, oh my gosh, that's so Jack. So second is I'm available anytime for anybody. If I get calls, 4 or 5, 6 calls a week from people that go, okay, how did you handle this? I think sometimes I hope people know that I'm approachable, because I am, obviously. And I'm more than happy to help. Doesn't mean I have the answer, but I'll have an answer that worked for us. Maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't. The other thing that I tell people is that I've learned over the years is don't be afraid to outwork your mistake. And certainly in building the business, certainly in coaching, I've made, thousands of mistakes, but I think I've always been willing to outwork that mistake and then not have it happen again, learn from the mistake and then not have it happen again. I think sometimes people make mistakes and then they're afraid to go beyond that or work harder to get over the hump to make sure it doesn't happen again. So don't be afraid to do it, because you can. It's just a matter of doing whatever it takes to get past that mistake.
That's so important and great, great insight right there. Thank you again, Chris.
Been absolutely my pleasure.
It's been wonderful to talk to you today. I hope you have a
I'll
great rest of your
I'll
day.
give you my address for the gift that you're going to send me for this.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, man.
All right.
Thanks, Veronica. Have a great week.
Thank you. You as well. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.